Welcome back to VFX for the Indie Filmmaker. In this module, we're going to go over compositing and more specifically in After Effects. I will also be covering compositing in Fusion and really get in depth in compositing using Boris FX Silhouette in the next few modules. So, if you've downloaded the footage I provided, that's what we're going to use for all these compositing modules. So once you downloaded it, you can go ahead and open up Adobe After Effects and let's create a new composition. Make sure it's 4096 by 2160, 30 frames, and we'll go 48 frames. This will work. So just make sure that's at 48 frames and okay. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in our footage. And what you want to do is select them all and make sure you check this sequence down here in import. And we're going to do that for each file. Now I know you can drag and drop, but sometimes it messes some of the files up, so I just like doing it this way. Go ahead and select all these TIFF sequences, and I see here I exported these as TIFFs and the other one as a PNG, but they'll all work the same. So if you're really doing your actual final product, you want to make sure all your footage is the same. But for the purposes of this module, this will work. We're going to go ahead and get our thrones. Now these are all the renders we did in the last module. See what happens when you forget to check as sequence. So let me go ahead and delete all those. Get our thrones, check sequence. Much better. And lastly, we'll get our wings. Now, before you start dragging and dropping in, you want to go ahead and select interpret footage and just make sure your footage is actually reading 30 frames. Sometimes your sequences will show up differently, so just making sure it's at the correct FPS that you shot in. We're going to check every one of these. 30 frames, 30, and 30. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start dragging these in to our timeline, and we'll start from the front. So our actress, and then our wings, and then our throne, and then our floor / walls. So this is just your basic raw footage. From here, we got a little work to do to actually composite and make it look good. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and throw a color correction. We'll just do levels. And for this one, I'm pretty much going to use everything that's available in After Effects. Other than I may use Mocha Pro as an example, but you do have a free version of Mocha in After Effects. I'm just going to go ahead and actually, let me get rid of that. I'd rather use curves. Let's go back to color correction. And let's throw a curves node on. And I'm just going to pull this down in the middle to darken her up a little bit. Let's see what we're doing here. And that's good for now. It's a little closer. All right. So a lot of this footage looks, I'm going to mark this down to third. A A lot of this footage still looks a little disconnected. And I noticed our wings did something weird on our export. They're flickering. All these wings are disappearing and reappearing. And that's an issue with Blender. So a lot of times you'll have to re-render some stuff, especially when you have hundreds of layers of things happening. Your renders are going to kind of do some odd things. And it's not specific, actually it's really not specific to the cycles renderer. It's because I've rendered using my Redshift, and it did the same thing. So it's something within the files of this specific model of these wings. We get a little flickering. It just took multiple renders to make sure that didn't happen. And upping all the transparency levels and doing some crazy render stuff. So you see this one right here is disappearing and reappearing, moving around a little more than it should be, but that's all fixable. It's good for this tutorial. So with the color corrected, next thing I want to do is kind of get rid of some of this sharpness, because we got some nice grain going on her. Just some natural film softness, and in your 3D renders you don't get that softness. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and let's look for a blur. Sorry about some of the background noise. We just had a hurricane come through, so there's a lot of trucks driving up and down doing cleanup. So blur, and I will look for the standard blur that comes with After Effects. We'll just do a fast box blur. Stick that on the wings. Let's pump it up maybe 2. And 1.5. There, that's good. So a little softer. And really, this is all there is to compositing. You know, you're just trying to make all your film, all your layers match and look good. If you needed to do something like bring out the floor and walls a little more, you could add another curves node on it. Maybe bring it up a little more if you want to see a little bit more, but I like it dark. Now the other things you can do, which like I said, we're going to get more in depth when I use silhouette, because it's a lot more oriented for tasks like this. But you could add an adjustment layer. If you want to add some stuff like, we'll find a flare, lens flare, there we go. Let's pretend it's coming from this light over here. And let's bring that down a little bit. Now what you could do is to kind of mimic that lens flare getting taken out by that wing, we can keyframe it. And let's find where it starts to hide, right there. Let's add another one. And it's gone. Change that down to 5%. So now we've got a lens flare being masked out by the wing. Additionally, you can take care of stuff like the eyes. We can add a Mocha node, launch Mocha, switch to full res. And let's go ahead and mask around this eye. Say we want to make it all orange. going to track that. And that's good. We'll save it. I would normally name all this stuff, but let's go ahead and view our matte. So there's our eye tracked, but what we could do is let's add another layer. Let's add a solid, and we will make it orange, bright orange. We can go here, we can copy this node, go to our orange layer, mattes, and we can apply our matte, and we've got our orange eye up there. And let's turn this mocha off. And then we can add another blur on here. Let's do a Gaussian blur. There we go. Let's bump that way up. And now you've got our eye tracked and it's orange. Obviously we do a much better job than this, but you get the picture. So it's kind of unlimited what you can do in here. Just remember, this is kind of layered based. Whatever's on top is going to show up front. So this is kind of a layered based editing or compositing when you use After Effects. And in the next module, we're going to go over doing the same thing using Fusion, which is more of a node based compositing. So see you then. If you like this video and would like access to the full course, you can visit my Payhit page, link in the description. For only $26, you're getting access to 6 hours of instructional video, as well as access to footage, Blender project files, and other pre-production file downloads. The VFX for the Indie Filmmaker course covers complete instruction from pre-production to project delivery and includes modules such as keying and compositing, creating and rendering 3D sets, and everything else you'll need to know to go from charging hundreds of dollars per project to thousands of dollars per project.